Bro, I play on a Game Boy like a grown up.
A Game Boy Color. Yeah.
Game Boy Color like a grown up from 2001. Shout out Game Boy Color.
Man, I never had a Game Boy Color. I'm so excited to have one.
Wow.
Honestly, I never had a Game Boy Color growing up. I only had an original OG Game Boy. So the feat of technology is just absolutely incredible to me still.
That's huge. Where did you acquire this Game Boy Color that you're speaking of?
Amazon. Benny's storefront.
Betty's Betsy on Etsy store, also known as it's actually pronounced Amazone because it's the amazing zone. That's where the origin of the name comes from. And it's just amazing that you can get any item like a Game Boy Color that you are using to play Tetris in black and white, it looks like, from the photos that you have shared.
Yeah, religiously.
I like the fact that Game Boy, they haven't done anything different. They just are Game Boy. And that, I feel like that is so out of the norm for these consoles. And they're always upgrading, like, I don't know, PlayStation 5 and Xbox is on their fifth series.
They made a bunch of Game Boys. They had Game Boy Advance, they had Game Boy SP, they had Game Boy Pocket. I mean, they had a lot of different iterations of Game Boy.
I was not aware of these.
Yeah.
But Game Boy Advance was pretty popular, but I feel like Nintendo kind of switched its focus to things like the Switch. That was not an intended pun by any stretch. You can play original Game Boy and Game Boy Advance on the Switch. I don't think they have a Game Boy Color subscription yet. Which is a little sad for me because I love Game Boy Color.
Do you guys know that the owners of Nintendo are the owners of the Seattle Mariners? And they spend like the owner.
Right. But they're certainly procuring a lot of strikeouts.
You mean procuring
Nintendo?
As in
the Mariners?
Both.
The Mariners owners.
Yeah.
They're buying a lot of strikeouts, if you will. They're about to break the all-time record, which is not even a year old, set by the Twins last year. So
was it?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Someone was like, the Mariners are striking out so much at this rate. If it continues, they'll break a 6-month-old record, which would actually be kind of crazy if the strikeouts record was broken in consecutive years. But I think people are just striking out more. Yeah.
Wait.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that is a thing, though. People just strike out a lot now.
Yeah, it's crazy watching these pitchers. I feel like half of them
these
throw
kids
triple
today.
digits.
No fundamental. Speaking of saying things like these kids today, do you guys see I'm doing my best Woody Page impression? What does it
say, Terry?
It says "fuck Jamal Murray."
Yeah.
Actually, it says "fuck anyone who has ever thrown a heat pack onto the court during an NBA game and not gotten suspended for it." But
that's where you're
to fuck Jamal Murray.
I feel like I would, and also not got suspended for it.
You do get away with shit.
Yeah.
The type of camera technology that's available today. It's good that your stadium hijinks are mostly a thing of the past. I won't say gone forever, because we never say never on this podcast.
Not know what you're talking
What's crazy is, as we're recording this, it is Monday, May 13th. Happy belated Mother's Day to all of the moms out there and people who are born from mothers, which is everyone. So shout out moms everywhere.
Hi, Mom.
And also happy belated birthday to us. We turned 3 on May 11th. How about that? 3 years and 141 episodes and 2 different hosting platforms. This is our second consecutive episode on Riverside.fm.
Yeah.
So shout out Riverside.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah. And we took an extended holiday last summer, which we're not planning to do again, listener. We might take some time off, and I might bail on a couple episodes, which we'll talk more about, to go eat some delicious food and drink delicious wine. I know, I'm sorry. But anyway, Benny, so what's crazy is it's the Western Conference semifinals. The Minnesota Timberwolves are knotted 2-2 with the defending champion Denver Nuggets, which is crazy to just use the Timberwolves in a sentence like that, given the last forever of this franchise. But it's pretty crazy because no home team has won yet. The road team has won all 4 games so far in the series. And I hope that continues in Game 5 tomorrow night. I know we for sure have some Beavs and Colorado listeners. And normally I love all of our listeners in all places. But until this series is over, fuck you in Colorado. Yes, you personally listening to this on your commute, navigating the traffic in Denver, which is somehow the worst in the fucking world because not that many people are supposed to live in Denver ever. But I digress.
Never.
I'm distracted. During Game 2, we're blowing the fuck out of Denver on their home court. Jamal Murray hasn't scored yet and is being a little crybaby bitch about it. Sitting on the bench. First, he throws a towel at the ref while it's down low on the basket that the Nuggets are defending. The towel almost reaches the floor. Falls at the back heel of ref Mark Davis, and it's a towel, so he didn't really feel it. And a ball boy quickly grabs the towel and takes it away. So it's like, oh, he did something stupid in the moment from being frustrated, right? He's not going to do it again, right? No. He then takes a heat pack, throws it onto the court, hits his teammate, I believe Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, lands literally 2 inches to the right of Karl Anthony Towns' foot as he's going up for a layup. It lands perpendicular, so it's sticking up. And then the Wolves eventually score, and I think KCP then sees the heat pack and just tosses it back to the bench. And the refs were like, we don't know what happened. But the video clearly shows that Jamal Murray threw it and was crying, yelling at the ref. And he ended up only getting fined $100,000, which is, I think, the least amount of money that players are allowed to be fined. And he didn't get suspended. And then he torched us in Game 3, and he was really good again in Game 4. And he refused to talk to reporters after Game 1 and Game 2. When he then talked to reporters, and they obviously asked him about the heat pack, he refused to say anything. He asked to please be asked a basketball question, completely absent of the thought that he threw it onto a basketball court during a basketball game. How does that not qualify as a basketball question, Jamal? Listeners, I know you came here for some Beavs talk, and we're going to get to it. I'm sorry, but this is what I'm passionate about right now, damn it. Fuck Jamal Murray.
That was your signal.
Karma's the Wolves in 7. We're not losing this series because you can't lose when someone pulls it off. Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Did he only field questions from people who subscribe to his pod?
I thank God I don't think he has a podcast. Patrick Beverly, who I have loved, and that's allegiance that's not aging well this week. But Patrick Beverly at least apologized for that. It might have been a Bush League apology, but he at least acknowledged having done a mistake.
He acknowledged the entire internet turning on him.
I think so. I will not say that Pat Bev is a bastion of things to emulate this past. Did you hear what got Pat Bev so riled up? I'll swear we'll move on from NBA after this because I know we don't want to talk about the Blazers. Yeah, but maybe you want to. If you do want to talk about the Blazers, this is a good therapeutic place for it. But whenever I see an athlete react to a fan sitting that close, I always have a lot of patience for it because there's just been so many instances of fans who have a fancy ticket and use it as a license to do whatever they want. So I'm like, I see Pat throw the ball into the stands twice. I'm thinking this guy had to say something pretty vile and messed up to get that kind of reaction, right? What we now know is when the Bucks were lining up for their final huddle of this game that was going to end their season, losing by 20 plus points, the fan yelled, "All right, everyone, Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3, Cancun!" As it is common knowledge that NBA players love to offseason in Cancun. That is hysterical. That's the type of behavior you should engage in as a fan. And Pat Bev should know better. That is a funny joke. Good on that fan for thinking of that in the moment and for trolling the Bucks in that manner.
Dude, so
Jamal Murray will be joining you in Cancun this time next week. Fuckers.
On this note, I was thrown sort of a Pat Bev situation, if you will, when I was trying to view the Northern Lights. So I went down to this place.
I can't wait to learn how this connects.
You'll laugh at it was a good joke. So I go down to this place. It's called Titlow Beach in Tacoma, and it's
Titlow.
It's Titlow.
I think I have heard of Titlow Beach.
Yeah. It is nice, and so, but it's
Okay.
also a place where high schoolers go to like party. Like you guys had, I'm sure, a park where you went to go party.
Oh yeah.
So I have my tripod with my iPhone in it.
So you're the old guy trying to capture nature while kids are trying to hook up.
But I have it pointed at the moon because that's where the northern lights are. And this group of high school guys come walking by, and one of them goes, "What are you gonna do? Block out the moon?" Or God, what did he say? Not block out. What are you gonna do? Eclipse the moon? And I turned around, and Yuri's looking at him. Yuri's looking at him, and she's like, "That fucking asshole." And I was like, "No, that is fucking funny. Like, that is great. This guy just going around clowning everyone that's trying to watch the Northern Lights as he's just having the best night ever."
Eclipse the moon.
Felt like, oh, are you going to eclipse the moon? I really felt mature in that situation where I feel like 5 years ago I would have been so mad, ready to fight this guy, but I had to give due props. It was a funny joke. It was a very funny joke.
Well done, guy. If you're listening.
Yeah. What are you going to
do?
Eclipse the moon?
Everyone knows Titlow Beach Guy is a huge belligerent Beavs listener.
Hey, shout out to Titlow Beach.
Yeah,
JP would have handed him a belligerent Beef sticker and turned him into a listener.
Yeah,
we all need to get re-upped on stickers. I still haven't gotten any new ones since the logo change, and that was a while ago.
What?
Yeah, you did.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
You would have gotten that.
I mean, I said I need to. I wasn't saying. At no point did I say you need to do this, JP. I said I need to get new stickers. That's what I meant. I need more stickers, and that's something that I can take care of off pod.
All on your own.
Exactly. My own responsibility.
All by yourself.
I apologize. What else? WNBA starts tomorrow night / tonight / last night, whenever you're listening to this, which is exciting. I got my WNBA hoodie on.
Nice.
Ready for the Caitlin Clark era.
I'm ready for I'm ready actually for this entire draft class, this era, to be honest. But part of me, last season I had their WNBA package, and it was great to be able to tune into anything anytime I wanted. But I'm now just now that I know that the Bay Area is getting a team, I'm like, I gotta kind of wait for that to really,
but also
not dive in, but really hang my hat.
Expansion draft is coming this December, so you need WNBA League Pass to scout the whole team, so that when the unprotected rosters come out, you'll be like, all right, I want this person, don't want that person.
True.
So we got a lot of Bay Area listeners, and you're getting your team. Then the next year, Toronto's getting their team, and maybe Portland some years after that. Maybe some good basketball news can come to the city of Portland, because
Jackie Styles
they definitely deserve it. Living her best life, I hope.
Oh man.
Okay.
God.
Turning the page.
Perfect execution. I love this live production we're getting from Jay since we signed our record deal with Gen Z rapper Riverside FM. This is very exciting. Turning the page to our favorite page, which is the beers segment. Everyone's favorite segment, the best part of every episode. I'm going to go first so that I don't forget the reference that I intended to make.
Oh, wait, I meant to do this. Oh, no, not this one. Damn it. Sorry. I messed it up. Maybe it was this one.
This is all this. All this podcast is going to be now is JP going, hang on. No, this one. Wait a minute. No, that one. It's just JP playing with a soundboard for 3 hours. I am cheating on my normal American macro brew of hams because the hams can, I realized, is Denver Nuggets colors. So until this series is over, fuck hams. You never thought I'd say it, but I'm saying it.
Wow.
Instead, I'm going with Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Ooh.
Because blue is one of the Timberwolves colors, and they get my blue ribbon. And I think this podcast should get your blue ribbon. And by blue ribbon, I mean a 5-star review. For gosh sakes.
And a like and subscribe.
And a like and a
subscribe.
subscribe.
Incorporate that now.
Exactly.
And
on YouTube, Spotify. Someone give us a Spotify 5-star and get us off this peak of 63. I'm sick of looking at the number 63. I want to look at the number 64.
Yeah, like Nintendo 64.
Like Nintendo 64.
Come on, be a hero. Somebody.
Be a hero. Someone be a hero and give us a 5-star review.
Isn't Pabst is brewed in Milwaukee, where apparently all their professional basketball players are in Cancun right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know. Is it still brewed? The cans say established in Milwaukee.
I feel like all
Pabst
of
Brewing
the
Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yep, and I love Milwaukee as a city. So shout out Milwaukee. When I think I probably told
Milwaukee,
this
Oregon. Shout out Milwaukee, Oregon.
When I I got to my orientation weekend at Oregon State, I met like a group of kids who are all from Milwaukee, Oregon, and I was like feeling a little out of place because I wasn't meeting a ton of Midwesterners. I eventually connected with a few Midwesterners in Corvallis, but I'm like, just don't know anyone yet. Maybe feeling a little homesick, and I met this group of people from Milwaukee, and I was like, oh my God, Milwaukee, yay. And they were like, yeah, cool, whatever. And for like an extended period of time, I thought they were from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, until I asked one of them, I was like, so how did you decide to come to Oregon State from the Midwest? And they were like, dude, I'm from Milwaukee, Oregon. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you guys had one too. They're like, yeah, who's from the Midwest? That's weird. And I was like, no, it's not. It's cool. If it's cool, then why'd you leave? And I'm like, I don't know. Fuck. I was probably wearing an Al Jefferson jersey or some shit. Like, fuck. But
my mom went to Milwaukee High School.
Oh, we can peep.
God damn it, JP. You need to treat it like a toy when we're getting ready for the episode, not during the episode.
I know. I had to, but then it happens in real time, and I'm like, this could work.
This could work.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say the F word in 3, 2, 1. Fuck. Fuck.
All right, we need a little work.
Oh, wait, no, I got it. All right, ready? I'm gonna say the F word again in 3, 2, 1. I set you up. Damn it. Okay,
we perfectly.
You probably did. I'm sorry.
It sounded good to me, dude.
Okay.
That first one has to be an Instagram reel. That was
fuck,
so
beep,
funny.
fuck, beep, fuck, beep. Shout out to the people who are putting in beeps in what have to be family-friendly podcasts where people swear anyway, because that clearly is a lot harder than it looks. All right, which one of you two would like to go next in the beer segment?
There.
JP just wants to make
you go.
Okay. I am not drinking anything, but I did have McDonald's earlier today.
Okay, so you finally got off
what's
this
order?
all healthy all the time shit, making us feel bad.
Dude, I eat McDonald's more than I'd like to admit, but I'll admit it anyways. I eat McDonald's probably 3 times a week.
This is a very
but I'm not afraid
question.
to admit it.
What did you get? What do you order?
Yeah, that is the most important
number
question.
one. The number one with the Sprite is
that the Big Mac?
Always my go-to. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the Big Mac.
Big Macs are really good. They're a little messy, but they're good.
They're so good. And Yuri will get the number 7, which is the 2 cheeseburger meal. And,
classic.
Yeah.
No, I've seen some response to the cheeseburgers. They're using a new bun that's that's like good, but like it's too much. It's like it tastes like real bread now.
Yeah.
But it's like, so it's bigger. It's like a more substantial bun, but the burger stayed the same. So it's like I just saw an Instagram post of like, all right, I've had enough. Fuck you, McDonald's, for doing this. I can't get the regular cheeseburger anymore. I have to get the double cheeseburger because the bun to burger ratio with these new buns that are like probably like 6% real bread as opposed to like 2% real bread.
Dude, they're
are just too
good.
substantial. Yeah, it sounds.
I don't have a problem with a lot of buns.
Hey, you know who else
buns.
eats McDonald's a lot?
Ochocinco
Is Ocho. Yeah, he does. Like, wasn't he was like eating it every day there for a while.
While also training to actively play the NFL. So I think it's
semantics.
A little bit different than our Peloton workouts, but probably not that different.
And he was treating, remember he was treating fans? He would take like 50 people out to McDonald's in like the movies.
Dude, he is so good with his fans. Like he uses Twitter the way that Twitter was designed to be used.
Yeah, I still don't think he's noticed it's changed at all, or like just doesn't care to.
He's still using Echophone or whatever that app is.
He challenges people to play FIFA and then posts the scores when he dominates. He seems like he's very good at FIFA.
I don't know if this is on a channel or anything, but so like he and Shannon Sharp record a lot together, and it's usually not reacting to football. And so like there's been a couple where it's like I first saw it when it was like Anthony Edwards scores 43 points, Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco react. But now it'll be like they'll have things where like they react to like Messi in MLS, and just Shannon Sharp is clearly thinking about Major League Soccer for the first time, but will not admit it. And Ocho is like kind of a soccer guy too. Like
he's a big soccer guy.
He trained with Sporting Kansas City for like a full training camp one year. When the NFL was
almost made the team.
Out,
at least he tried to make the team.
He was like, I'm going to play for Sporting KC. But yeah, they'll react to like shit in every sport, and it's so funny. It's like what I want our podcast to be, but can't because we are not Chad Johnson and Shannon Sharp. But so yeah, Chad and Shannon, come on the pod.
Yeah,
Ocho and Shay. Open invite whenever you want.
Yeah.
We won't even
that
say
invite
anything.
Has stood for Chad for 3 years now.
We'll mute all of our mics and just listen to you two.
As long as I can make the sound effects.
What would be the first sound effect you would play specifically for Ocho?
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that. Maybe like a...
Beautiful.
And then maybe...
And look who's here! What's up?
Oh, I didn't mean for it to go twice.
That sound means you're up in the beer segment.
I'm up. Good. I had to swap out my beer that I opened to have for the beer segment. And now I can have it. And I'm drinking a Freem West Coast IPA. Shout out Freem. Shout out Hood River.
Oh,
shout out Hood River.
Nice. Shout out Hood River. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
You're damn right. Well, I started to kind of enjoying more of these because the Starburst, which I do have, they're so hard to find right now. And I think it's because after
there's a shortage
was sold.
Caused by you.
Well, they were sold. Yeah, maybe. They're like, why are we selling so much Ecliptic? We can't keep up.
When there was a wings shortage a few years ago, the number of texts I got from people being like, whoa, Terry, slow down with the wings, was out of control. Like I somehow ate enough wings to cause a global chicken wing shortage.
I mean, it is a concern. I wish I was that
cool.
Us, your friends.
We are still looking all right. There's still only one chin under this beard that you can see, so I'm doing just fine.
Jay, do you know anyone that likes a particular food more than what Terry likes wings? Because I don't think I do.
Chad Johnson liking McDonald's.
But Chad
might be the only
same
one.
level.
Same level. It is the same level.
That's it, though. I don't really know Ocho.
Yeah.
So
Terry
maybe that disqualifies him.
Just you have a professional relationship with Ocho, not a personal one.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm a soundboard
guy. Benny, Ray's, whatever you've got with you, whether it's water
Big Mac.
or
Big Mac sauce.
If you saved a Big Mac or a pint glass of the special sauce. Up in the air, JP, you're Freem. And let's toast to another record-setting day by Beavers second baseman Travis Bazzana, Australian for noise.
So noise.
Noise.
The noise.
Cheers.
Do
Is
we
there
know
a record that he doesn't have now?
I know what
he has all of
so
them.
he just obviously surpassed, one of the all-time goats for Beaver baseball, but the air video, I won't spoil it because I'm sure we'll discuss. But did you see that dude's video for Travis? Did you hear what he called him? That's the part that I was like, what?
I saw that he made a video. I did not hear what he called him.
Yeah, he called him Boz, not Baz. Boz.
There was there was a Portland newscaster back in the day who was known as the Boz. I think his name was Jim Bosley. The Boz. So there is sort of some
who was
historical
probably
context to it.
covering the news at the same time that Brian Bosworth was at the height of his fame and also known as the Boz.
So different.
It's like when Minnesota Vikings number 5 wide receiver Michael Jenkins went by MJ, and it was like, no one thinks of you like that, dude. You're just Michael. Like, you don't get those initials, all right?
Yeah, that's how I feel about every other JP in the world. It's like,
yeah, you were the first to do that.
Yeah, I was. I was also why everyone always like JT, JB.
No. They are great.
Figure it out.
They are great initials.
They are.
They flows perfectly. Like, you can't do that with every initials. Like, no one's going by like HW.
They were in like the 1800s.
Well, yeah, that's why there's.
Yeah, I mean, there's some
E.B. Watson.
Right.
Yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien. Like, you see that shit on books, whatever, but that doesn't count. The resident book lover is saying that it doesn't count. But yeah,
it's kind of like our partner, sponsor, friend, Patrick Kenneth Douglas Ryan. He should just go by PKD Ryan.
PKD Ryan.
Mm-hmm. I think the more initials, the better. But it also is nice to have a last name in there. You can't just like omit your last name.
Yeah, I feel like if there's the weathered exposed brick signs that have been on a side of a building for like 100 years, I feel like those always have like
like law firms and shit.
Well, just initials of some business. Yeah. And it's like somebody initials and sons, and then all their sons have initials that are the exact same.
Mine reminds me of BLT.
BLT?
Should we add that to the list of nicknames?
BLT?
Bacon, lettuce, we hedge?
Bacon, lettuce, we hedge.
Please, I love that. BLT.
All right.
That is an undefeated sandwich.
If we need a sound to get us into the beer segment, do we need an official sound to get us out of the beer segment and into the actual Oregon State sports segment?
How was that?
Is it? I didn't hear it.
What? Did you hear, Benny?
Did you? Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, then whatever.
We go to the can't hear the sounds?
No, I have heard some of them. I just didn't hear that one.
Oh,
my mind's playing tricks on me.
Is that why you didn't hear?
JP, please play 5 seconds of My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me by Ghetto Boys.
I sit alone in my 4-cornered room staring at candles.
All right.
Haven't done one for a while, so
yeah, true.
I'm gonna try and get one country song in here for Alyssa Hogue, but I'm gonna have to look up what country songs are first. Just I think we all listen to more. I think
what's a country song?
ChatGPT, a country song. We all listen to more country than we pretend. It's good fun. But Beaver baseball, you guys. This is the ebbs and flows and the roller coaster of this season. I have a question, a very important question that I want the two of you to answer honestly. Is 38 runs in 3 games good? Yes, no, or maybe?
It's pretty decent.
Run differential is more important.
False. Yeah. The correct answer is fuck Jamal Murray. But the Beavers had a great weekend at Goss. Great final weekend at Goss. It's always great when you win 11-0 on a Friday when your ace, Aiden May, pitches spectacular once again. We'll get to Aiden.
Masterful.
It's a little hairy when you win 12-11 and you need a walk-off walk to win. But, hey, that cancels out the walk-off walk we lost on early in the season. So I think we needed to exercise that demon. And it's even greater when you win by 15-1 in 7 innings. I would say that's like a pretty big run differential on UCLA on a team that's going to a new conference. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, what a big win with a big lead. I can't remember what the run rule is either. Like when it becomes,
like, is, I don't know.
Big,
I think it's like a big score
big.
of 10.
It's big.
Mercy.
Big score of 10. Well, there aren't 10 teams in the Big Ten. Right now there are 14, and that's how many runs the Beavs won by in the final game to make it a perfect sweep. And the first thing I want to talk about is the more than 4,000 fans who were there on Friday night to see the latest gem from a gem in Aiden May, and it was the 3rd biggest crowd in Goss Stadium history. And so props to the Beaver fam.
Yeah.
For the fans who have been showing up and showing out all year. Oregon State fans are dope. You guys killed it. The atmosphere at Goss was incredible. We weren't there, but you could tell just by watching the game.
You could taste it. Yeah, by watching the game.
I could taste it from Minneapolis.
Ooh.
I was at Target Center
for
2 playoff games, and multiple people who didn't even know I went to Oregon State, they're like, yo, let's get as loud as Goss Stadium tonight in here. And I was like, oh yeah, like we're ready.
Yeah.
That's how we rattled the Suns so bad in game 2, because we're like, let's get that Goss Stadium energy here at the Target Center. And it worked. So thank you.
It often does.
So yeah, just like I know this team is imperfect. I know that the game in the sort of the middle section game, winning by a walk and having another walk-off walk and giving up double-digit runs in another game doesn't put anyone's concerns at ease in regards to the pitching that this team is taking into the offseason. But it felt like big time gearing up for postseason baseball at Goss. And
yeah,
it
right
felt
now,
like postseason baseball.
Yeah. And I know the
gearing
stakes
up.
are real.
Yeah.
And I know UCLA is not a great team. Fuck them. Good riddance, you jackass. But it did launch the Beavs to being in the top 8 across all polls. And, you got to take all those rankings with a grain of salt. But it looks like they now are in control of their own destiny, in which you can get a result in Arizona and win the regular season championship, which I know is important to this team, but also maintain that sort of, you will for sure host a super regional once the postseason starts, if you are in that top 8. So they have something to protect now, and they have something to attack. But yeah, just what's on your guys' mind? We've, debated this into oblivion. Just obviously it's a flawed team, but it's a very talented team. And this latest time out, I don't think they did anything that really surprised anybody. But another great record-breaking day for Bazzana, who is now the all-time hits king at Oregon State University, in addition to being the king of virtually every other offensive statistical category. But yeah, what do you guys think of this big-time sweep of the Bruins?
Well, I think the Saturday to me, though, was a game that demonstrated what I think could carry them further, given the talent they have on offense. And it was the grit and determination that they showed to just not lay down in that game. And I think that you could be a talented team with great offense and a lot of grit You could be a talented team with great offense and great pitching and no grit. And we've seen that, how that outcome is for a team that has maybe not all of the confidence in the world, but has tremendous talent on both pitching and on hitting. And that didn't go very well for us once the confidence was shook in the postseason. We've had a lot of discussions this year about this team's grit and talent, but also a lot about, the pitching is still trying to catch up to the level of the offense. Defense too. Let's not overlook that those batters are still playing baseball in the field, and also don't play very cleanly that often behind their pitchers, giving them a ton of support. But I think that the grit is an important factor, because you can outlive your mistakes when you can score on a dime, and you can outlive your mistakes if your bats aren't carrying you all the way, over the hump, by staying determined to do so. And I think that that's what they did show on Saturday, was they had a belief like, all right, we can continue to get back in this game. Like, this is not over. And I think they definitely felt the pressure of what this game was meaning for the postseason, because they won that game. Obviously, Sunday hadn't been played yet, but because they won that game, now there is still a chance to take the Pac-12 regular season crown. If you go down to Arizona and you sweep them, it's yours. So that's the only way you can do it, is by a sweep. But without that game, like, there's no way. So, I thought it was an epic performance. I actually enjoyed Saturday night's game from like the 7th inning onward more than I enjoyed Sundays.
Yeah, I thought, like, well, taking a step back, I think it's really difficult to have a entire series where every single aspect of your game is fantastic in all 3 games. And so sometimes you just have to find a way to win. And that's what happened on Saturday night with this team. And so that is what you want to see going into the postseason. We've been talking about it all season long, is this team does have the talent, and it doesn't really matter how they're playing in March, April, or early May. What matters is how they're playing going into the postseason. Now, if they can go down to Arizona and, if they can sweep, that's a really good sign. If they can take 2 out of 3, I think that's also a really good sign. Arizona's a really good baseball team. Winning the Pac-12 regular season title is important, and it would be great, especially in the last season of the Pac-12. But I would rather see this team show signs that they are ready for the postseason, which obviously a sweep does, but so does a 2-1 series win down in Arizona. But what I'm more so looking at is how they fare in the Pac-12 tournament, because they've shown that they struggle on the road. So taking all 3 in Arizona is unlikely, I would say. But I want to see how they do on a neutral site. Early in the season, they showed that they could perform well at neutral site games. And if that continues at the Pac-12 tournament, my, I think, anticipation for what's going to happen this postseason is revved up a little bit, especially if you can finish the season in the top 8, guaranteeing yourself a super regional if you get through the regional. So you're playing in Corvallis and potentially Omaha, and those are really the 2 destinations that that you're playing in. I really want to see this team have a good showing down at the Pac-12 tournament. I think that's really, really important. And yeah, we're gonna have games between now and the Beavers' last game of the season where the pitching isn't as good as we've hoped, and the hitting isn't going to be as good as we've hoped. You just hope that those are fewer and further between than what we've seen in the past, and you hope that the other aspect of the game can pick them up, which they did on Saturday, which that's why it's great to see.
Right. And it just feels like winning either or both of the regular season conference title or the conference tournament championship in this last year as the Pac-12 as we know it would be really meaningful for Beaver fans.
Yeah.
It would be one of those things that every fan of the Traitorous 10 would be like, who gives a fuck? Like the Duck fans in our mentions who are chiming into an Oregon State podcast to tell Oregon State fans that no one cares about Oregon State from their fucking Dylan
Sco
Gabriel
Ducks
avatar. At Sco Ducks 6969 with 69 followers actively seeking out Oregon State podcasts to tell Oregon State fans that no one cares about Oregon State. Yeah, you're making a great point there, buddy. And not that it would like move the needle business wise, like going forward, but I just want to see, some element of just like, fuck all these guys, like, and get, that is something that I think Beaver fans can wrap their hands around and be happy with. It was something that you got to have a little bit of with women's basketball, and it just kind of got ripped apart a few days later, that they got to have that showing in spite of everything in the postseason. I think taking either or both of the regular season conference crown and the conference tournament crown, and then having another great run in the tournament is, just to run through this postseason with middle fingers in the sky about like we have always been like that. We have always been doing this. Like you can say like Oregon State didn't, punch to its weight class in this conference or whatever, but like, why do we keep winning shit then? So I think for those reasons, and also the reasons it would mean for this season, like I really want us to get this sweep in Arizona to get that, and also continue balling in Arizona to win the conference tournament, which just it feels super unfair because I feel like this conference tournament as an event in itself really had potential to really take off and just needed time to breathe and didn't really get that chance. It's younger than our podcast is, and we just celebrated our 3rd birthday. So it sucks, but you can still go out and win it, boys. And I think that would mean a lot for Beaver Nation.
And
go ahead.
One sort of point to make is I think these last several games for Oregon State are more important than any other game or group of games in program history. And, we had mentioned it, or we had talked about it before, of Oregon State has a pedigree for baseball that is going to remain no matter what happens at the end of this season. But if you can get yourself to Omaha and you can become a national story, this is our bread and butter. The baseball is our bread and butter, and you're on ESPN every other day or every day, right? Forcing the network that helped kill you, talk about you and talk about the irony of Oregon State performing so well, given the circumstance of the season. I think that does help in getting games scheduled next year. I really do. I think like if you can be a national story, that gets you over the hump with some of these conversations that Scott Barnes might be having.
Yeah, I think so. But what I think is maybe most critical about being in the spotlight is obviously the networks that behind your back talked poorly of you and discounted your value will now have to talk highly of you and eat a little crow, and that's always fun. That also
give me all of
increases the chances of somebody taking off from the company line a little bit and going rogue, and really speaking how they feel about it, and their employers, impact on a school like Oregon State. But it also gives them, look, none of this is off the hip. This is so much of this stuff, the content, the discussions is scripted, is fed, is predetermined. And let's face it, I don't expect any of those things I just said to happen, even if I think the odds are better that they could, and it would serve us well. And I would love to see them have to walk back a bit from their silence. But what will come from it, I fear, is they'll be like, see, and look how good Oregon State is now. Even with all this stuff, they're doing great. Good for them. Like, it wouldn't be like the injustice
perpetual underdog,
school, like,
the grit of a scrappy, feisty, Rocky Balboa figure. And it's going to be like...
but it wouldn't be the first time that a current ESPN employee went off the cuff and
yes, I mean, so like we giving them the opportunity, it might increase the likelihood, but I also think because we aren't as a program an underdog story. Right. No, we are maybe the most overdog story of any program at Oregon State.
We've been beating these dudes' asses for 2.5 decades now. So
yeah. So I don't think they're going to come at that angle. Whatever. I'll be curious to see how it gets handled. But I agree. Like if the discussion becomes more of returns to the national spotlight again, as it was early in football when both us and Wazoo were having a hot start, then I think it could be a good thing. I think it could benefit us. It doesn't hurt. But I have a feeling that we won't hear the same kind of sentiment, if anything, as we were maybe getting during football. Even during the women's hoops tourney and everything else, like it just wasn't.
It wasn't
that. On our side. But going back to the actual team, the games, I want to agree with you, Benny. I think returning to some sort of return to form in a way of how you've performed in neutral sites will be huge. But that really comes from the pitching, because in a neutral site, it's essentially the same as the road. You might have home crowd. I know Beaver Nation travels like crazy. You're going to have a lot, but that doesn't mean that the other schools that we might face up against will end up with a decent amount of fans there as well, and making, at least on the field, perceptively equally as much noise when you're trying to concentrate and focus and get your job done. I think pitching can be the most impacted by that because they're out there for lengthy amounts of time and thinking about things quite a bit in between throws. So the pitching needs to really reestablish itself. I am thrilled to see that the offense has reestablished itself over the last week to 10 days. I mean, there was a point where I was thinking, if we can't hit even the games that the pitching is keeping things fairly in control, we are going to be in a bad position as the postseason starts up. And they've clearly turned up to another level for the wrap of at least conference play and hopefully the conference tournament and onward. But the baseball's offense, again, I'm not worried about it. I feel like that was just the typical ebbs and flows of a team's long season. But pitching has consistently, pretty much since conference play started, never really given us a reason to have a ton of confidence in them. They've done great at home. Aiden May, phenomenal. But they got to be able to replicate that at a neutral site where it might not be so friendly confines.
Right. Well, Aiden May told Joe Freeman of the Oregonian, hot, cold, hot. And it's good to start the season hot and be playing hot now. And if there's a little cold snatch in the middle, no one's going to remember it as long as you can kind of keep that hotness going, that heat up.
A cold snatch in the middle.
Is that my second straight really unfortunate?
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Those guys on the D.
Dudes on that D. The dudes on that D are undeniable.
They got a lot of dudes on that D.
Another thing that's undeniable is Aiden May's scoreless inning streak right now at 22 1/3 innings. And
damn,
if this keeps up, and you have regular season champion, conference tournament championship aside, your ace pitching at a high level come tourney time is so essential. If you get a jewel of a performance from your ace, in the first game of regionals, it goes a long way in securing that regional victory. Same for Super Regional, and same once you get to Omaha. Obviously, you'd never win a College World Series just on the strength of one ace. You go back through the Oregon State's 3 national championship teams, the other teams that made it to Omaha but didn't quite get all the way there. There was always, multiple really strong pitching performances. But when that man, Aiden May, Ace Aiden, has it going like he does right now, that ticks off such a crucial box at the beginning of any kind of postseason challenge. And I feel fine bringing it up because everyone's talking about the scoreless streak of 22 1/3 innings currently. If it doesn't need to, it has to stay scoreless the whole time. But if he's pitching this strong throughout the postseason, it's going to go. It's going to help. It's going to help a whole lot. And I think he seems like the type of kid that's just relishing this moment, wants to write his name in the next chapter of Beaver baseball lore, and is inspired by all the legends who came before him and opened that door. So, there's been some great teams since 2018 and great players, and they haven't been able to, hit enough checkpoints to make it to Omaha. And I think, those ace performances weren't always, missing. Like Cooper Jerpy was amazing in the NCAA tournament, and they still didn't quite get there. But I feel really good with Aiden May on the mound and pitching as he is right now, because he's got a ton of confidence and his stuff is just absolutely nasty.
And I hope that's infectious too. I think it is.
Yeah.
Right? When you see a guy go out there and just deliver like that and consistently do it, I think the other pitchers take notice and they feel a little bit better about it. They don't feel the pressure of, oh shit, I got to pick up my teammate now when I'm on the bump tomorrow. Like they do feel a little bit more at ease. Like I was watching how he did this, how he approached this pitcher or this batter, right? And like I think that really does translate through a rotation and through a bullpen. And how much the bullpen might be needed or not with May on the mound is obviously
there'll be some nail biting bullpen moments. You don't win championships in baseball without that, though. Yeah, it's part of it. Gotta lean into it. That's the story. Baby.
I don't even know if there's one baseball champion between college and professional that did not have somebody in their bullpen that would routinely provide those nail-biting moments, and that's part of the fun.
Walk the bases loaded just so you can strike out the side, because it's more fun that way.
Yeah, like Brian Wilson did for the Giants. This is literally where the Giants came up with the Giants baseball torture slogan.
Fear the beard. And Giants fans and fans of other teams alike feared the beard in those ways.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope that we see a bounce back from Kmatz. He's had a really rough go of it the last 2 starts, and really 3 out of the last 4. But before that, he was awesome. He's had some really, really good outings against some good teams. And so, like it's concerning, I would say, that he's not pitching his best as we get into the end of the season, because you're right. Like having an ace that's on top of his game is huge, but having your 1-2 just playing incredible. That is the staple of a championship team. So if Kmatz can get it figured out, that bodes really well for us.
Oh, and speaking of 1-2, I wanted to make a point to say this is that Micah McDowell is easily maybe the biggest impact player when it comes to the totality of the lineup on the offense, and he's really picked it up as well. So when it comes to another 1-2 on the offensive side, of course, you've got Bazzana setting the table, but Mike is coming in there and cleaning things up. So him coming back into form has just he's been so awesome to watch. I was telling my brother-in-law this over during Mother's Day brunch, and he was saying that like obviously Travis is the most talented player in college baseball, but like I don't know if he's the biggest impact player on this team's success. and immediately I was like, it's Micah McDowell. He's the anchor of this team offensively, and because we know Travis can keep going, he'll do it day in and day out. That's no question. But can anybody else benefit from what Travis is doing on the team? And Micah's usually that guy, and he's back in that driver's seat again. So I love seeing that, and I think that as long as he's swinging a hot bat, then this team's gonna be real dangerous in the offseason.
Yeah,
right.
Do we know when Trent Caraway is coming back?
It was supposed to be, I thought, UCLA, so maybe Arizona.
Yeah,
maybe.
We'd like to see him get a little bit of a couple at bats under his belt before we get to the postseason.
It might depend on how Game 1 of Arizona goes. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
If you lose Game 1 and know you're already in second place,
settling for
you can play with things a little bit more. I do think we need to expand a little bit on Travis Bazzana before we move on from baseball. Slapping hit number 239. We've talked about this kid a lot in the whole 3 years of this podcast. We talked about being excited about watching him play for the first time and everything he's done since he's got here. Gary Bazzana is we have a million favorite listeners, but Gary Bazzana is our favorite listener down there. We've done so many different versions of horrible Australian accents. We've literally played Noifi Spoony Baker's dozen amount of times. And I think all of that is just emblematic of the joy that Travis has created as an Oregon State baseball player. He's so fun and he's so excellent at so many things, whether it's blasting one into Montlake up in Seattle and getting the most lethargic home run call from the hometown announcer. There's just so many memories, but I mean, now
forgot about that.
239 and counting, this career home run record, single season home run record, all-time hits record. Could be it's not an NFL draft situation where we're going back to the Heisman winner from 63. We just have to go back to Adley Rutschman as the top pick in the draft. But we haven't had a can't miss prospect like Adley. Obviously, those types of players don't come around very often. But him being that dude since then now, and it sort of doing it his own way, obviously being a different kind of player, but just bringing that type of excellence to this team. He's been such a joy to watch at the plate, in the field, off the field, and we know this is the last year we're going to get to at least have him in Corvallis and Goss. He'll be a Beaver forever, of course, but man, just getting to see the last few weeks of just all right, so what record is Travis breaking today? What did he break this weekend? He's a guy who's playing at a pretty high level too. And it's just okay, so if you have Aiden May pitching like he is right now and Travis Bazzana playing like he is the 100% number one pick in the draft, it kind of just feels like everything else is going to fill in. And that's a little bit of an assumption. And I know we've got to beat a lot of good teams to get there, but having those two pillars figured out goes a long way. So yeah, just anything else on Bazzana and the record, the third or fourth different record-breaking weekend that the guy has had.
I would say he's on the fence right now for triples and doubles still to break those records. I don't think, at least for Oregon State.
Break the walks record, Travis. What the hell? Have you beaten the hit by pitch record yet? Come on. Grab a bat and lean into one.
I think he needs two. What's he got? He needs,
because he has a stolen base record, right?
Yeah, he's got the stolen base. He's got home runs. He's got hits. Doubles and triples are right. He's also got total bases, runs, walks.
He's like Kenny Lofton,
Unbelievable.
Ichiro,
Yeah.
and fuck Pedro Serrano in one player. I had to throw a fictional one in there.
Is this the when do we need to revisit the segment where Benny has to guess if it's a fictional or real?
Is this an actual
Blazers
Trailblazer
player.
or a fictional? We can do
Dude,
that.
I'd be so mad at that right now.
With the Blazers, we could do this next week with the Blazers having an 82% chance to get a pick in the top 6 and getting the number 7th overall pick. And I said this as encouraging to you, Benny. They're saying this is the worst draft in a while, but they also said that about the Anthony Edwards draft. The Blazers have 2 lottery picks. One of them thanks to JP's Warriors with the 14th pick overall. So there you go. There's some there's some podcast stewardship.
Cool.
Next week we can play. Is this an actual 2024 NBA draft prospect or a fake name? And Benny, and Benny can guess if it's a real player who's a potential lottery pick or a figment of my imagination.
I would not be able to name one player that is a potential lottery pick.
All right, well, don't do any homework then over the next week. We're going to do this next week.
Don't worry. I won't.
You're a Timberwolves fan for the rest of the playoffs, as you said. So
yeah,
you're good.
For sure.
But keep talking about Travis Bazzana.
Generation X. So one thing I wanted to bring up, I think it's pretty incredible. Travis Bazzana has only 2 more strikeouts than he does home runs. He has 26 home runs and 28 strikeouts. That is crazy to me.
Yep.
That is insane.
Yeah,
So
and look at and if you throw walks in there too.
Let me see. How many walks does
He's
he
got
have?
66 walks on the season,
Whew.
26 home runs, and
Whew.
just 28 strikeouts.
Dude. I mean, obviously the home runs are big, and obviously the hits are big, but not striking out and taking free bases. I mean, yeah, those are the things that go under the radar for sure, but definitely make him an incredible prospect. I mean, those are the things why he's, almost a guaranteed top 3 pick in the draft.
I truly think he should be the number 1 pick, and I think that some people might just look at this season and go like, this is what he is now. He's like a slugger. He hits for extra base hits, but either it's a home run or a double. He's swiping some bags, but the numbers on the decline as he's added pop. To improve from 11 last season for home runs down to currently 26. But his stolen base numbers went down from 36 now to 14. So, of course, it's also because there's a lot more of his hits where he doesn't have to stand on any bases after he hits the ball over the fence.
Yeah.
So, take it for how you will. But the part that I think is so incredible is that he has demonstrated all these different facets of his game, and he's demonstrated improvement in the areas where maybe people had doubt every year, right? There was a little bit his freshman season, like, all right, this guy can hit pretty well. And he's got a little bit of pop here and there. When he did hit some big flies his freshman season, it definitely had some jaws dropping.
Yeah.
They weren't cheapy home runs. And then he get on base and he was a menace out there. So it was like, okay, maybe this guy's just like a, 15 home run guy and a 25 stolen base guy, and he's gonna mostly just hit for average and collect as many total bases as he can once he gets on base. And then the next season he comes out and he hits for a little more power and he boosts his batting average, and then he really becomes a menace on the base paths. And then everyone's like, okay, cool, but like 11 home runs, all right. You want to be a top draft pick with 11 home runs? Like, no one's going to want to take you if you can't demonstrate you have power. And then so he shows up and he's like, okay, here, eat this. This is my power. And he's still hitting for a 424 average currently as we're recording. And then 14 stolen bases to match his freshman year total of stolen bases. But yeah, his slugging year over year, 478, 622, 972. Like, and when you talk about a ceiling, I don't know if Travis Bazzana has one. So that does make him easily the most exciting and probably best prospect in this year's MLB draft.
And he's doing this in a league that is notorious for putting pitchers into the major leagues and being very successful too. So, yeah, I mean,
he's also doing it from leadoff.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that I think should be noted is I don't know how many walks he's had in years past, but I would imagine that pitchers are pitching around Travis a lot more this year than in years past. And I think you can, as a hitter, get almost take the bait of buying into your own hype and wanting to impress people, especially in baseball, and trying too hard. And trying too hard in baseball is
you lose
good.
your eye. Yeah, you lose your judgment. You lose your eye, right? You start to think, all right, it might be a little out of the zone. I can hit that. I can get there.
Yeah. Yep.
Or if it's coming in hot and heavy, like you're like, I'll turn on that, no problem.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that is another factor where I hope, and I think I'm not smarter than any of these MLB scouts, but you have to wonder how much they're looking at that and going, how many pitches has he seen in the zone, whether errantly or on purpose? Like, how many of those you make contact with? Like, what was the exit velocity on any pitch he made contact with in the zone? How many swings at balls outside the zone did he have this season? I would guarantee you that number, at least on a rate, has dropped year over year, where he knows my chances are slim. I got to wait for my pitch.
Yeah,
and he's made him pay.
Yep,
way more often than not this year.
Yep, 100%.
I've seen Moneyball at least 10 times, and based on the scouts meeting scenes, JP, I'd say you're at least smarter than like 1 to 10% of MLB scouts.
Yes,
I think that's at a minimum. At a minimum, it could be much greater than that. So,
I mean, I am a single A Little League baseball coach, head coach.
Yeah,
I can analyze the swing, man.
You can.
I know what I'm looking at.
You're getting there. Look, 5 tools, everything.
Yeah. Don't worry, Mitch. I'm going to come for your job in 18 years or 15 years, whenever the mini bebe is headed to college.
By that point, the position will be called the Pat Casey and Mitch Canham head baseball
Mitchell
coach,
Canham
manager. Mitchell Canham, sure. Mitchell Canham, double ones. O-State Balla's head coach position, JP Bertram. And then you'll be like, you won't let anyone call you Coach Bertram. You'll make them say that whole title. And interviews will never end, and episodes of this podcast will take 8 hours instead of 6. So
yeah,
we can all look forward to that.
As they do.
We need to move on from baseball, but before that, JP, can you please play 5 seconds of Tequila by Dan and Shay in honor of our country-loving listener, Alyssa Hogue.
When I taste tequila, baby, I still see
Tequila.
The song's called Tequila. I've been watching The Voice with the fiance, and Dan and Shay are coaches on The Voice this season. The Voice slaps, you guys. I'm all in on The Voice. It's so fun.
Is it Dan and Shay, or it's Dan and Shay?
Dan and Shay. Dan
so
is
people.
One guy, and Shay is the other guy. So it's like I think Dan ampersand Shay is the official title. So we should make them go.
No, that's
by that.
easier.
Yeah.
Would you say The Voice is like a guilty pleasure watching?
I don't even feel. I think that's a fair description of it, but I don't even feel guilty with it.
Do you have a guilty pleasure?
I have had a few. I mean, Love is Blind. I'll watch every season of Love is Blind and kind of hate myself by the end of it. There's a very clear threshold for me where like I enjoy that trash level of reality TV. I've watched a few seasons of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette just because that level of TV is addicting for a reason. Like they've totally figured out the American viewing habit. And it's also like anything that you can easily like come up with an office pool thing where it's just like, oh, this is a competition. Like I'm picking that person as like my Cinderella story, or this person as a top seed. It's just easy to watch. But there have been times like I've watched like seasons of The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, where by like episode 4, I was just like bummed out because they obviously don't often have the best people. I much prefer, we've only ever gotten one fake sample episode of it, but Summer Lovin', as seen in the first episode of season 3 on Love is Blind, where 39-year-old Ronnie was just there for the zip line, would be my favorite reality show. But it is sadly not real. Mike from Adventures 365 took the zip line away. So
He's just being too rough.
he wrenches on the rope. He pulls on the rope. He thinks it's his. Shut up, Mike. And shut up, Terry. Get back to the goddamn show. Okay, Mike.
Do you ever watch Vanderpump Rules?
No, but is it? 'Cause I've heard good things. It sounds so saucy.
It is like every Tuesday night. Yuri is so cool with whenever we want to record, but if it's Tuesday night, if we push it to Tuesday, she's like, really?
It's fucking,
that is our
Vanderpump
thing.
Night. It's very
is our thing.
The Voice is Monday, so like we watched The Voice before this. That's funny. I watched a lot of the Jersey Shore in college.
Okay,
like season 1, season 2, whatever. And then when I was teaching this pop culture writing class last year, I was just going through all these different like great pop culture essays, and this writer I really like wrote a great essay about how her and her dying father watched Jersey Shore together like weekly, and that was like kind of like unexpected way they continued to bond. And so I assigned the essay as one of the assignments in class, and I would like rewatch some Jersey Shore just to like kind of refresh my mind on it a little bit. I probably really only needed to watch like 5 to 10 minutes to like be able to be like, hey kids, this is what the show was. If you haven't watched it, whatever. And I ended up watching like 9 straight episodes because that shit was it just immediately took me back to watching that in college. And like, it was like, we watched it and made fun of those guys, but it was like, we watched it while we were getting ready to go out, and then went out and danced to the same trashy music, made terrible decisions, that kind of shit.
I think Vanderpump Rules is a more refined version of the Jersey Shore, where like all the things that they learned by filming the Jersey Shore, they have perfected in Vanderpump
and built on. That's what I've heard.
Very good. Yes.
Stop talking about reality TV. Talk about, we're gonna say sports. Fuck. Okay, we will.
Reality
moving on
sports.
to reality sports, real sports with Bryant Gumbel, which is crazy because joining the show right now is HBO's Bryant Gumbel. BG, thank you for joining the show. Just kidding. Yeah. Oregon State continues to go global in the men's basketball department. We believe we have a final roster for 2024-2025. Your soon-to-be national champion Oregon State Beavers have added 6
world champion
11 post player Johan Munch. From the great city of Copenhagen, Denmark. Shout out Copenhagen. We have a listener or two in Copenhagen, or at least we've registered a listen or two in Copenhagen once.
Copenhagen was big in our fraternity.
We love.
I was gonna say, is that where those guys were from? Oivind?
Copenhagen's awesome.
I'm talking in the tins.
Took him a second. Took Benny a second, but he got there. Johan Munch, a.k.a. I'm starting this now, the Great Dane, because Danish people are called Danes, and he's great.
He's the Beaver Munch.
The Beaver Munch.
He can have multiple nicknames. Benny has 1,000 nicknames. Johan Munch, a.k.a. Beaver Munch, a.k.a. the Great Dane, a.k.a. a new 6'11" guy who has played in the FIBA U18 World Championships. Our team is tall as fuck. Which 4 guys over 6'10". The Beavs now have 13 scholarship players, so they could add a walk-on. They could cut somebody, which they probably won't do. It'd be weird if that happened at this point, cutting a scholarship player. Someone could, I think, the transfer portal is closed, but is it ever actually closed in this day and age?
Hey.
But I think for better or worse, as we move forward, you can look at the 13 names on that roster and think that's going to be the team going forward. And we'll talk about these guys over the summer. We'll get with the Peyton years, have some Gill Dogs and some Gill beers, and figure out, hey, is this what brings us back to the promised land? Because right now, I don't know if it's this year, but if it's the same pattern, if Tinkle maintains this tourney bid every 5 years thing, that means it wouldn't be this year, but next year. So, but that's almost due. So if he makes the tournament this year, he's ahead of schedule, which would be fantastic. But we can't really talk about tourney bids yet, but we'll talk about the team as we get to learn more about him. But 6'11" Danish guy who has a penchant for nickname ability, which is great.
So let's
Munch.
go through. I like Beaver Munch.
Munch time.
It's Munch time.
It's Munch hour. So many puns.
Bring it.
What are the countries that are represented? We have France. We have Iran. We have Denmark
and Germany with Ratai.
Germany, but there's another player that we got in the transfer portal. I feel like that was international.
I will click on
Marsh. English, the English center.
Oh,
who is Isaiah Sai was from France.
Then he said
right.
France, yeah.
Oh yeah, what was his name? Remember I found him on like Liam Hughes. What did I find him on one of our like first 10 episodes?
It was like some fucking fantasy site for really tall men.
Yeah, right. It wasn't even like a dating site. It was just like people who like fantasize about tall men, like large, burly, tall men, and there were like photos of Liam Hughes like with no shirt on, like working on like farmland in England.
Which great for Liam Hughes, honestly.
Right. Hey, there's also Thomas
Hughes, man. He was awesome.
Thomas Ndong, who's from Montreal, the great city of Montreal.
Yeah. Which is like truly international.
So of all
as opposed to like Vancouver.
The foreign countries or just other countries, Germany, Canada, Iran, England, Denmark, France, and Cuevas Wilford, who's from Florida, which is often another country at times. So that's 7 countries, including Florida.
Florida, man.
8 if you include the United States. So a very international
please play
team.
5 seconds of Around the World by Daft Punk.
Around the world, around the world, around the world.
Ooh.
That's my first one in a while.
That is your first one in a while.
Wow, nice. I was playing that song on the way to school drop-off last week.
Ooh, Daft Punk slaps still.
Well,
Daft
okay,
Punk
but like think about one point. I think it's obvious. I hope it's obvious. Is what Tinkle's doing is he's navigating the waters of this era of college athletics the right way for Oregon State, especially for programs that have smaller roster sizes like basketball. He's going international, and
which
while again,
don't
if it's fair or not.
It's not, but it's
don't get NIL.
But it's reality.
That's reality. That's what it is. And so, honestly, I have to commend him and the staff for shifting gears, for saying, okay, fine, there's a battle that we probably can't win in the short term at the earliest. So what do? And they went the route of let's bring in guys where NIL isn't something that's going to lure them away from us.
And we've got minutes to be earned.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you can throw some substantial NIL at select few players that you recruit from high school. I mean, that is a good formula for being in the situation that the Beavers are in.
If I got a question though, and I don't know the answer to this, and I don't think you guys do either, but I'm going to pose it out here to the potosphere and the belligosphere and ask if foreign players aren't eligible for NIL, what kind of cash considerations are they excluded from other than that? Because if that's the only avenue for American players to make money off of their likeness, and it's the legal way to do so, is anyone slapping wrists on the illegal way? Not that I'm just saying. I'm just curious.
Can we go back to the old ways?
Is there still? I'm saying, is there still an illegal way?
2000s
or is
Kentucky
it just like,
shit with all the best
is it
players
just like
from
these
France?
guys can't sign up for Open Doors because they don't pay American taxes?
But is anyone?
Is that what it is?
Is anyone checking?
I'm
for
just
the
wondering.
bag? Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I bet if you wanted to, you could easily go back into the old school that was cheating technically at the time of just like under the table cash. Like, does the NCAA have people to track that or
on Venmo? Just like tracking every athlete's transactions on Venmo? How are they going to know that I didn't just donate to Johan Munch all the proceeds from a Beaver Munch t-shirt, but I put a bunch of pizza emojis for my Venmo transaction note?
Yeah, they all came.
But Rete has open doors.
He does. That's on the roster.
Yeah.
How is that possible then? So I thought he is eligible.
He's probably lived here long enough or something and has
a citizen, and
it's got to be. But and Thomas Endong's on there too.
I like his Twitter or his Instagram. Tom Dunker.
Tom underscore Dunker.
Tom underscore Dunker.
Yeah.
There's there's got to be some explanation for that if it's like actively listed on Oregon State's website, linked to their Open Doors. It's probably some kind of level of citizenship or some kind of type of sponsorship. Maybe there's like an Open Doors for like non-cash opportunities. Like he can send you like you can request and you can drop off a car at his house and the key just happens to be 6 feet away on the sidewalk. And if he's the one who picks it up, but you can probably like ask for like, I don't know, like a Cameo style shout out or something for free.
No, it's all but it's still cash. Like his
that's not it's listed on there.
I could send Ratai an offer of $35 right now for.
Then maybe they're not eligible for like collective, like school.
It could be. I think it's probably collectives.
Yeah, that could be it too. It's gonna whatever it is today, it's gonna be different next week, and it's gonna be different from that 2 weeks later. But at least shouts to like we asked Tinkle. We knew we talked about this being like, all right, Tinkle's gonna be the coach. So let's not talk about the should Tinkle be fired debate, whatever, because it's not gonna happen, and it's just not even healthy, whether you think so or not. And there is good reasons either way. But shouts to him for, like you mentioned, JP, we wanted to see some creative approaches and we wanted to see effort and something of an identity built. And before we see these guys on the floor, we can't wash the bad taste from this past season out of our mouths yet. But it does look like there's at least some adaptability to the current climate, the current situation, and just the even shallowest, not even deep dive on these guys. Like they're all real basketball players who would be playing high level basketball somewhere this season if it weren't at Oregon State. They're not absolutely scraping the bottom of the barrel. So we'll see what happens. Tinkle's still got a lot to prove and a lot of people to win over. But this is kind of, we were asking for, not even necessarily something to believe in, but something to even like think about maybe possibly believing in one day. And him being creative like this and getting some high level players, basketball is a global game. It always has been, but it's even more so now. So yeah, shout out to him. And I am still excited to see these guys on the court, even though how many times Beaver men's basketball has burned me in the past. We're still here and we're still going to follow the team. And we maybe not high hopes, but we've got hopes, and it's a low bar to clear. So we'll see what they can do.
One interesting wrinkle here before we close up for hoops is NIL became officially recognized as a change that allowed college athletes to profit from their name, image, likeness on July 1st, 2021. What was our record the following basketball season with all those transfers that couldn't gel, that were disgruntled, players that were returning that were unhappy?
3-28.
3-28. Not to say that these are totally related, but part of me wonders if that was an early, precedence that was becoming all too common in college athletics, where college athletes thought that this was the time for them to start banking on their brand. Maybe it didn't happen, or maybe that was their only motivation for being on a team that went to the Elite Eight, and it didn't go well. So just, I think there's something to be said about that timeline. Maybe Tinkle's first time trying to gear up with some top talent through the portal. But I think we all were a little bit at that point curious why historically those guys came to the team, but we all had the easy answer, at least in our heads, was, well, of course they would. We just went to the Elite Eight. But It could have been more than that, and it could be a lot more why over the next couple of seasons that they were unhappy. And also why, clearly we lost our top performers from last season. So moving on from NIL to figuring out a way to navigate the waters of college athletics. Good on you, Tinkle and staff. Yeah. I'm excited to see what these guys can bring to the table in a new conference, facing new opponents, with hopefully the buy-in to the culture and the coaching philosophy that Tinkle has sought since that Elite Eight run.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Moving on from the hardwood to the links, not the Minnesota
soft grass,
the soft grass, the links, the golf course, the Waste Management Open. Honestly, quick plug. Not really a plug, but quick shout out. Full Swing on Netflix is a fantabulous docuseries.
Oh,
so fucking
I've
good.
heard.
It's great. Watch it. Watch it tonight, Benny.
Okay.
The golfers featured in that documentary are great, but they're not as good as Oregon State women's golf, who just secured its third ever NCAA Championships berth in school history. We don't talk enough about Oregon State women's golf on this podcast, especially since one of our earliest episodes. Shouts to the new listeners who have been starting at the beginning, because it is a narrative podcast. God damn it. It was early in our history when the NCAA canceled that championships, and they just said, all right, the top 5 seeds move on. And Oregon State was the 6th seed and didn't even get the chance to fucking play for the, opportunity to possibly qualify. And this past weekend, they were in a tough spot. They were at the Bermuda Run in North Carolina, the North Carolina Regional, to punch their tickets to golf's biggest dance. And they needed to finish top 5. And they went into the final round this past Wednesday in 7th, 6 strokes behind Tennessee, who was in 5th place. And they had an incredible final round with their top 4 players combining for 10 front 9 birdies. Freshman Ray Nakao shot a final round 3 under to lead the Beavs, and tied for 5th overall with 7 under for the whole tournament. And simultaneously, Tennessee started melting down, and the Beavs got their spot in the top 5 of the North Carolina Regional, and they're going to the big show, the final stages of women's golf, which will be from May 17th to the 22nd at Omni La Costa in Carlsbad, more like Carl's good, more like Beavs good, California, back to the West Coast in their time zone. if you're in the area, get to Carlsbad, Beav. We've got some Carl's Beavs who listen to the show.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of SoCal listeners.
A lot of Carl's Beavs, baby. Get out to Omni La Costa and support Oregon State women's golf. Back-to-back trips to the NCAA championships. Fucking awesome. Great job.
Golf
ladies.
school.
We are a golf school
for sure.
We are
I'll be tuning
absolutely
in.
a golf school.
I love
It'd be
it.
interesting. It's interesting that they picked that course. It would be cool if they picked like Pebble
Tristan
Beach
Tree.
or
Tristan Tree.
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of that's a little too bougie, a little too fancy. But maybe
Did you
Augusta,
guys-
Georgia.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. A step down, but that way everyone feels welcome. I get it. But did
Yeah,
you
that's
guys
right.
have you guys seen shout out listener Derek, longtime listener, he posted this like a month ago and I just was thinking about it now. On the fourth hole bathroom at Tristan Tree, stapled to the wall, laminated with a corner cut out of the printed piece of paper, not to take this away from women's golf, but related to Tristan Tree, is a letter to the president of Tristan Tree Golf Club at the time, the PGA Pro there, Tom Farron. And it's addressed actually in about 11 days. It'll be the anniversary of when this letter was written. So May 24th, 1992, mailed from Tempe, Arizona to Corvallis, Oregon. It says, I just wanted to take a minute to let you know how much the ASU golf team and myself appreciate the time and effort that went into the Pac-10 tournament that was recently held at your course. As you approach the clubhouse for the first time, it is easy to get a false impression as to how wide open the course might play. It was certainly far from wide open and was set up well. I thought the course was a good test of golf, fair, and a worthy selection for this event. Please pass on our appreciation to your entire staff and assure them that their hard work does not go unnoticed. Thanks again. Sincerely, Phil Mickelson.
What?
You
Really?
heard it. Phil Mickelson loves Tristan Tree.
Yep.
Damn. Wait, he was at Arizona
Let's-
State?
We
I guess so.
gotta make Phil Mickelson Tristan Tree shirts now.
Like, what will we put on him?
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We'll
I'll
figure
just
it
put-
out.
Make like the paper that's double stapled in every corner with some staples ripped out, one corner ripped off, laminated on clearly a bathroom plywood painted wall. Maybe I'll just make that design and then put Tristan Tree in the middle.
Speaking of Phil Mickelson, Ray Nakao is another world-class golfer from Hawaii. Shout out Marvin Beaverman. Shout out to all the Hawaii Beavs.
Yeah.
Say Fuaga
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Hell
And,
Let's go.
Chase Gomez, who also finished in the top five. Fourth this season that Rhea has been in the top 10 of a tournament. So bright future ahead for the freshman. Seventh career top 10 finish for Chase Gomez. So shout out to you, fifth year senior Chase Gomez. The other two Beavs finishing in our top qualifying four were Kyra Lai and Maddie Sund, who both really rallied to ensure that Oregon State got this done and punched that exclusive ticket to the championship. So shouts again, Oregon State women's golf and head coach Don Shockley, who has done a tremendous job with this team. And yeah, it's not over yet. Got some work to do, but so happy that this season is extending deep into mid to late May, and a chance to go natty hunting. That's what we do at Oregon State.
That is what we do.
It's
Yes,
what
we do.
Fucking do. So shout out Don
Yeah.
Shockley and to Oregon State women's golf. I was following that by way of Dashiell's tweets. It kind of looked like Oregon State was dead in the water a little bit, but man, had some final round magic, like 99 Ryder Cup style, baby.
Hey,
What
that's
happened
why
to
you
the
play
99
18
Ryder Cup?
or
It was,
more.
99 Ryder Cup was like the first like real crazy comeback, and the European team got mad at the American team for celebrating on the green before it was over. Yeah, we were kids, but like it was like a thing. Colin Montgomery was like English mad, like mad. Like not all you mad.
Shout out
he
to
was
our
like
English
mad.
listeners. Shout out Liam Hughes.
Yeah,
Shout out Liam Hughes.
Does that 99 Ryder Cup loss still hurt? I bet it does. I know you've gotten a few over on us since then, but still, suck it. Oh, man. Well, speaking of Fuaga, it looks like the Saints have been playing him at left tackle for most of this rookie minicamp because they don't know if Ryan Ramchek's going to miss the season. So he could be playing left or right.
Wow.
Talise Fuaga or Ryan Ramchek?
Well, Talise Fuaga for sure. But Ryan Ramchek.
My parents
that's somebody that's just born to be a guard.
Shit at Mother's Day brunch yesterday for Catan Oladapo. Especially when they heard he liked Favre and the Packers growing up. We're still going to have Catan on the podcast at some point, but god damn it.
I saw there's a photo cruising by on Twitter on X Pro of him signing his contract in green and yellow, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The Packers, the colors suck. The colors suck.
Really fucking suck.
Fuck the Packers.
Yeah.
Dude, so
I mean, Catan, you look handsome, bud, but like, ooh, I don't know about that color.
Catan's a handsome dude. Ugh, this is gonna be hard for me for his entire 15-year Hall of Fame career.
Yep. Let me see if I can send you guys the pic. I don't know how to do that on here. Try that. Click the link. Click the link.
I have to open chat first.
Yeah, where's it? Oh, there's the chat.
I'm not gonna be happy like seeing his stories come by with him in green and yellow.
Did a little something today.
Anymore.
I know. With the cheese emoji too, Catan. At least his avatar is still Oregon State.
As I'm saying, though, as soon as that gets swapped out for something green and yellow, it's gonna just ruin
Catan,
just kill
our
you.
story
Please,
timeline.
please keep the Beavs avatar. Please, for me.
Yeah.
Don't
We
do
will
it for
match
yourself.
whatever Green
Don't
Bay
do it
paid
for
you.
your family. We will try to match whatever Green Bay paid you. We will
Until our
not
pocketbooks are
match
empty.
what Green Bay paid you, but we will ask nicely and beg, please.
We'll probably beg more than they did.
Right.
That shows how much we care.
Catan, when you get a day off, drive on over to Minneapolis. It's only a 4.5-hour drive, and we'll go to a Timberwolves game together because the Bucks aren't in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah, it's like Green Bay, but a city and fun.
Yeah, it's. But you know, there are like buildings that are taller than a story. Places that serve food past 8, that sort of thing.
Main Street is not the only street.
It's not the only one. There are a lot of streets. There's like hundreds of streets actually.
Dude, so not to dig back or backtrack in the episode, but I've been looking, and Oregon State is like the medium or the average, if you will, of international players on teams in the West Coast Conference. Like every school has like 5 or 6 international players on it.
So they've learned already. They probably probably had a hard time to compete with collectives for the last few years.
I think you're right. Even Gonzaga has like 6 international.
The first time I heard the name Gonzaga, I didn't think it was a school based in the United States of America. I was like, is that in
Did you just sneeze?
Is that in France? Is that in Star Wars? There's literally there's infinite number of places Gonzaga could be based.
Definitely in
And it's
Star
like,
Wars.
nope, it's
the Death Star. It's just to the left
it
of
is a
Gonzaga.
very, very Catholic school in Spokane.
Is it very Catholic?
It's very Catholic. The hometown.
I know all the West Coast Conference schools are Catholic.
The hometown of one Sydney Sweeney.
Oh.
So she might be at a Gonzaga Oregon State game next year. She will
Hey,
be.
not
pretty
to
nice.
backtrack too far back in the episode, but I've been doing research on our episode, and we forgot to play the ad.
Oh, hit the
ad.
This episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast is brought to you by our friends at SeamHeaded. SeamHeaded.com, founded by the one and only, the great Pat the Bat Ryan. SeamHeaded celebrates the history, heritage, and delights of America's pastime for all baseball enthusiasts, making dope shit like shirts, batting practice. Not done. Don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. For every baseball enthusiast, women's sizes, men's sizes, kids sizes, the whole goddamn family, the whole family, courtesy of our friend Pat the Bat Ryan at SeamHeaded, and they've still got the sincerely dope Belligerent collection. There's the Corvallis Map home plate tee. There's the Beaver MLB logo tee. There's the Belligerent script tee. There's the Benny Beaver Jr. Shades tee, which is still on their best sellers for the kids stuff. I love the Shades tee. He needs to make that for adults too, because I need one in my size. Come on, Pat the Bat. Let's go.
Pat the Bat.
Pick any single item in the Belligerent collection and remember to use code CHOP'EM at checkout. Repeat, that is code CHOP'EM at checkout for 31% off any and all items in the Belligerent collection for the nicest discount in the game. And buy a bunch of their other shit as well. SeamHeaded, SeamHeaded.com, on Instagram. Follow them. Shout out Pat the Bat, and shout out SeamHeaded, and shout out baseball. We love baseball season. It's in full effect. Let's go. Buy some shit from SeamHeaded and tell them the Belligerent Beef sent you. Or else.
You hit that ad so hard.
Or else JP will come to your house and play loud beep noises every time you try to say things. Or honk at you.
or what? Or honk at you?
Honk if you love Oregon State. Hey, we got one.
Hey!
I love Riverside FM. I love this podcast has just become
sound effects right now.
A toy for JP to play with. Why is it like Betty and I? It's like 3 out of 4
in the background.
The non-producer listeners will be able to hear like 4 out of every 5 sounds, and we won't let them know which ones they can or can't hear. It's just a random thing throughout the episode, like it's a game. It's like musical chairs
talking at the time. Can you hear it?
It's musical chairs.
I think that's
but
it.
We're listening to different music that's stopping at different times. It's just chaos. And what did we say about chaos? It's a fucking ladder.
Yeah.
I think it's time to end this episode.
Is that what we said?
Yes. It was that episode we got really deep on we're going to save this shit with like guerrilla warfare. And I quoted Game of Thrones like 9 times. It was like 5 episodes ago.
I kind of remember that.
We were heated. I forget why we were so heated.
I can think of a couple reasons.
Well, it's because there's so many reasons. I forget which one was the particular one.
That's fair. That is fair.
It was.
Yeah.
I think it was after kind of the women's basketball exodus. And I don't know. Yeah, I think we looked real big picture at shit. There's one episode where I say Chaos is a ladder a lot, and I was like, Littlefinger's not someone you should look up to, but we should look up to him now.
It's when Scott Barnes came out with that.
The Beaver Nation call, and when they said the Beaver way, and we're like, we like a lot of this, but don't call it the Beaver way. Take the gloves off. We want the gloves off. Punch dirty.
Don't put them on.
Punch low and punch dirty. Replace the glove with a band of barbed wire around your nickels.
Yeah, and gouge eyes.
Like Kid Mo in that Simpsons episode. Okay, when I start quoting episodes from cartoons that came out in 1996, it's time to end the episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. Remember, just like Pabst Blue Ribbon, to give us a blue ribbon in the form of a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It's a little bit more helpful than Apple and Spotify. A lot of podcasters aren't honest about that sort of thing, but I'll be honest, it's more helpful on Apple or Spotify. But we'll still settle for wherever you get your podcast. We work hard on this. JP works the hardest.
Like and subscribe.
But Benny and I are still here, kind of late on a Monday night, so we would really appreciate a 5-star review. 5-star review and order 5 shirts from SeamHeaded, one or both of those things. Whichever you like. Shout out to Oregon State women's golf. Shout out to Trevor Larnack, the opposite of a shout out to Jamal Murray's crybaby ass. Wolves back, go Wolves. Fuck Denver. No one actually is from Denver. It's just the shittiest of shitty people who move there in droves every day. Fuck Denver. Fuck the Joker. Fuck Tony Brothers. Wolves in 7, baby. My name is Terry Horseman.
Oh, I need
at Terry Horseman on Twitter, at Terrence Horseman on Instagram.com, at Terry Horseman on fuckjamalmurray.com. Don't go there. I am joined, as I always am, by my beloved co-host and my 2 best friends from college, Benjamin Lawrence. We Hage, aka Bacon Lettuce.
You even know me?
Aka Bacon Lettuce We Hage. Established today. AKA Benny with the good quaff, AKA Benny Bowl Game, AKA Benny Burner, AKA Benny Blastoff, AKA Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks. You can follow him at southbeachdiet.com. Giving up beer, giving up weed, not giving up Big Macs and Sprite, and at Benny L 1986 on all social media channels, and the man behind the 1s and 2s and all of the new fun noises that he gets to play with, JP Bertram, at the Trill J on Twitter. That's at the _Trill_J, because he's too Trill to be real. And at JP Bertram on Instagram. And follow us, for gosh darn sake. Belligerent Beavs, belligerentbeavs.com, belligerentbeavs.com/merch, belligerentbeavs.com/bacon lettuce we hate sandwiches, at Bellig Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere else. We're still trying to revive MySpace. We'll put our playlist of all of the 5 seconds requests in Belligerent Beavs history on MySpace when we get there. LimeWire.
Don't hold your breath.
AOL.com homepage.
Yeah, we got a chat room.
E-Bombs World.
Everyone's in Discord, but we're on AOL chat room.
Belligerent Beavs, E-Bombs World. Belligerent Beavs at NFL Mock Draft Simulator, putting Katana Ladapo on 31 NFL teams that aren't the Packers still, because we are sad and don't have lives. And Blue Sky. That's the real one. But I don't know if any of us.
No, so they think.
Spotify. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Someone, for the love of, I'm tired of looking at 63. Someone, I hate it when podcasters beg for reviews, but here I am, a podcaster begging for a review. Someone, for the love of God,
just
give us
comment.
One more person, give us 1 5-star review on Spotify.
But you don't have to comment on it, do you?
You don't even have to comment. You just click on the show and then click 5 stars.
One tap.
When
you hit 5 stars, shout out or cars, loud as possible.
Yeah.
Nintendo!
Just yell Nintendo for it. Like when Michael Scott yelled, I declare bankruptcy in The Office. Okay, I promise I won't reference another TV show until next week, when we come back for another exciting episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again. Go Beavs. know we've got a lot of Beavs in Arizona, so get to those games in Tucson. It's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. We know we've got a lot of Carlsbad Beavs. Get to that tournament in Carlsbad. 2 Oregon State teams that are still competing for national championships right now. Get out and support these athletes. Let's go. Let's show the rest of the world what they already know. And even if they won't admit it, that Oregon State is the shit. We go after championships at this school. We are living our best lives at this school. And it's always, always, always a great day to be a Beaver. We will see you next week, Beaver fam. And until that time, no matter what happens, win or lose, we still booze and you still can't spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Shop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Don't throw heat packs at basketball games, kids.
Fuck Jamal Murray.